All right, let's begin today's review of our GSOC organization. Today's organization is OPIA. I've chosen this organization because it contains Angular in its keyword. Let's see how many projects does this organization have related to Angular and other things as well. So they have Python, Kotlin, CSS, and TypeScript as well. So it looks like this is a full stack requirement. They have multiple projects in multiple technologies. So let's see what this organization does. This it says here that they are a online learning platform, and that's just basically what it says, and some technologies. So let's go here on learn more. All right, there is some documentation here about learn anything they want in an effective and enjoyable way. Okay, so basically, a online learning application, probably an app or a desktop website. Probably looks like a desktop website from the technologies mentioned here. So we'll go here and look at its idea list. Uh, Okay, so this is interesting. I've gone through this idea list before, and the first thing that it tells you to do is go on top of the page because this is a huge page that these guys have created. And the first impression that you get from looking at this page is this is a very well structured organization which has been doing this for a long time. The table of content shows the maturity of the organization, and without even looking at the code, I would say that you are already dealing with a huge code base. So looking at its past history now, it has been selected in GSOC for the past 5 years. So you know that this organization has had a good relation with Google and with students as well. So there is a good symbiotic relationship going on, and that is why this has been selected for the sixth year running right now. And we'll go section by section because this is such a huge document. So we'll first begin with students. This is more instructions to students about getting started, about setup and stuff like that. So here, just to summarize, it says go through the user documentation in this paragraph, and it says go through user documentation. There is more stuff in contributors guide, and you can join their email lists. You can join various groups where there is discussions on various development and stuff like that. Um, Another important thing is they have startup projects already ready, so they want everyone to work on those projects. And if you solve those projects, then you would be considered for an internship. So the way it works is you pick up a startup project and you send at least two pull requests, and then you will be given an invitation to become a collaborator in the OPR repository, and that is how you are onboarded into OPR repository. And if you have made two successful pull requests, they will consider your application for GSOC. So looks like a very stringent criteria, honestly. If you guys have worked on open source software before, only then I would suggest you to consider this organization, because it might be daunting to go through a huge code base and understand the startup project and send two pull requests, and then by April 13th have some documentation and your proposal ready as well. So just go through this organization if you are really interested in what they are doing, and I think they have a lot of good things, so you might be interested as well. Okay, so moving on in the FAQ section, I think that this is pretty self-explanatory. uh, the only interesting thing here that for me is there is a flexibility in the commitment. So they uh, they have explicitly mentioned that they will provide some time off for students for exams and stuff like that. Although the GSOC timeline currently does not say something on the same lines, so I think there might be some mismatch here. But yeah, I think they are flexible just in general as well. So if you have exams and due to the corona situation they have not completed on time, these guys can help you in that as well. Moving on, anything else I find here interesting? Nope. I think this is pretty standard. You can go through this at your own space. I don't think there is anything worth mentioning in this video. So we'll move on. Yeah, for students, the proposal template is everything. This is how you should write your proposal, and and then submit it. So they have created a proposal template here already for you. So these guys are really well prepared. They have tips for you for writing a good project plan. They have given clear expectations of what to expect when they are evaluating a proposal. They are they have given clear expectation as to what to expect from mentors. So if you show a mentor your proposal, what will he tell you, what is his feedback, and stuff like that. So the basic sense here, what they have written is, your mentors will give you feedback, but that feedback is just suggestions. It's not compulsory for you to implement that, and you are the owner of your own project. So if you think that your proposal makes sense even after mentor's suggestion, then please go ahead in that way. Although, as a general rule of thumb, that never works because the mentor has already uh, been doing what you plan to do for a longer time. So in general, just try to keep the suggestions. But if you have clear data as to why you did it, then mention that data. And these are just tips, some tips on the top. And these guys are really good. They have even given you sample proposals from past years, and the proposal template as well. So this is very excellent. You can go ahead and download this. You can take inspiration from these proposals, this page and this template, and it should be simpler for you to write this document now. And yeah, moving on to types of work related to OPIA projects. I think this is very general, just a general uh, summary of what kind of technology they use. So it's all Angular, Python, Kotlin, and testing for the major part, and it's just some good habits that they've mentioned here: technical ability, communication with your mentors, and for just following up and staying course and owning your stuff. So some just good professionalism that they expect from all their candidates is what they've mentioned here. Yeah, the selection criteria is very clearly mentioned here. They just want a very well written, detailed working solution to be proposed, and if you and with specific timelines and milestones. uh, don't worry if that sounds a lot to do. They have given tentative milestones in their projects themselves, so they have helped you out there. And that is the more challenging part, coming up with milestones. You can put timelines based on your experience, or you can ask someone senior for what would be the amount of time to reach a certain milestone. So that is what their entire selection criteria is based on: clear analysis, clean solution, and specific milestones is what they care about. So we'll now go through the project idea list. There is 24 projects here, so we'll skip over and we'll try to summarize as much as possible. So let's begin. And this is where you would land up if you click on ideas list from GSOC's page. So let's begin. So this is a subcategory developer experience, although there is more projects related to experience in the bottom as well. So don't assume that only these many projects related to dev workflow. So yeah, the first one is solving dev workflow issues. uh, this mainly involves restructuring the existing lint checks and automating the task of code ownership. So there are some lint checks already present, but they do not like the format, so they just want to restructure the lint checks and then just be more strict with code ownership in this one. So if you're more familiar with Python, I think you might understand linting and all of this stuff better. In general, if you're familiar with scripting as well, and then there is going to be refactoring as it says here. Uh, so yeah, more towards the back end side of things. And like with every project, there is like suggested milestones. You can go through them if you find this description interesting. The second project is move custom JS or TS lint checks to ES lint. Again, this is just a migration from lends to ESLint. Probably this is more stricter. I'm not a Python person, so I do not know for sure, but looks like this provides E2E lint checks for both JavaScript and TypeScript files. So if you have experience with linting and ESLint, you can go ahead and look at this project. Okay, that's just two for dev workflow, but I assure you there is more towards the bottom. So for this next team is data and stability team. The first one is implement schema validators for handler patterns. This one is interesting. If you have HTTP experience for get, post, and delete handlers, they want to validate all arguments. So right now, uh, it looks like it's flexible to what arguments you pass to these handlers who are handling get, post, and delete. They want a more stricter rule here where you have to pass a certain amount and in a certain way and validate these the execution of these handlers. So if you are familiar with Python and HTTP, this might be of interest to you. More details and milestones and everything is here. Moving on, make backend code typed. So in this one, we have to the main idea is Python 3 type checking. So they have proposed that they will be completing their Python 2 to 3 migration in this one, and and we will do pre-push checks and continuous integration checks in this project. So if you have worked on continuous integration or uh, checking before uh, pushing, so if you're more familiar with those kind of things with like PyType or Pyre and stuff like that, you this project might be for you. Moving on, for the third one, simplifying the OPR build process. In this one, this basically deals with making it easier for developers to work with the build system. Right now, it's very complicated. Because the code has grown in various ways. The code is built using different, I wouldn't say different technologies, but just different techniques right now. So they want to simplify the build process. It is very overwhelming for people who look at this for the first time, and more, and so they do think that there is some redundancy in their build process and they want to simplify it. So, and this is an Angular one. So if you are more familiar with what is an Angular router, you should be interested in this project. And this assumes that they will deliver some things by that time, and if that does not happen, then it says that the project will contain removing Angular JS from code base and introducing the router. So it's not working on the router, just introducing it at this point in the build process. So it can either be simplifying the build process using Angular router, or it can be uh, deprecating Angular JS and moving to router. It depends. Moving on to the next one, we have improved front end type system. In this one, we just need uh, they have type checking in the front end, but they just want to improve their type checking by introducing more stricter rules. So this one is just around that. So if you are aware of type checking in TypeScript and type checking in the front end system, this project might be of interest. Moving on to the QA projects, and there is a lot of QA projects they have. So this one is writing front end test. This is pretty self-explanatory. They have a table where they want to improve the test coverage, and this might be very challenging, and they want a clear path from you to how you are going to have 100% test coverage. Uh, and this involves, I think, integration tests and front end tests as well. So a lot of testing. So if you are really interested and have exposure to testing as such, this project might be of interest to you. The next area is learner and creator experience team. Let's see what projects they have. The first one is generalized migration flow for all models using JSON property files. So I think this is I don't know what JSON models are, or what models these guys are talking about in general. They say model type topic story exploration. I think these are internal terms to OPI themselves. They want they want to consolidate the migration of these models. So each of these models look like is migrated using its own way. They just want to consolidate it so that all of these models are migrated using the same way. I think all these terms are internal migration models, and I might have to look more deeper into this one. The next one is handling exploration, updates and suggestions and loss changes improvements. Yeah. Again, all of these will be very OPIA centric. So this one looks like there is a thing called exploration in OPIA, and then there is a thing uh, when, and this is for developers, I think, when you're making changes. If you're making changes and if there is a loss in connectivity or some issue, uh, there is a pop-up which comes up which says the changes are lost, or these changes are going to be lost, and you can copy from that pop-up. But the thing is probably that modal or that pop-up does not come up consistently, and you are left at you might have an experience where the changes that you made for past hour or two are lost. So uh, the improvements in lost changes features is what this project deals with. And I think this is also Python and front end both. So you have to create the model, or you have to deal with the model, and you have to deal with the backend to store those changes as well. So this is complete full stack work, and if you are looking for a full stack project, this would be of interest to you. Another one on the same background is syncing edits in the background. So anything that you edit uh, does not automatically get saved. It has to be uh, so this through this feature they want to edit in the background so that when you're typing something automatically every 10 seconds, every 30 seconds, the diff gets stored in the backend and through the background. So that is what they want in this project. Moving on, enhancing the skill functionality. All right, this is completely internal to them. There is a functionality of skill, I think, and this is related to learning and learning new skills. And it's already a launched functionality which has these uh, seven issues that they want you to solve, and most of it is already in production right now. So you will be working with code in production, and you will be working on both back and front end. So this is another full stack project for you. Integrating the Opia block with opia.org. Yeah, this one is interesting if you are a front end developer. So this one is on Angular, just the TypeScript part and HTML. So they have a opia.org blog on Medium, which they want to now integrate with the Opia website, and this will involve creating a new page and hosting that new page on the server. So if you are more familiar and comfortable with front end technology, this is a front end based project. Moving on to redesigning and updating the learner dashboard. Uh, for this one, this is a completely new workflow that they are building, and there will be a goal editor. So for learners, they want a new functionality where you can set your goals, and there will be a dashboard for that as well, for your different goals and how much you've achieved them. There will be lists, your to-do list kind of things, and you will be given mocks for this project, and you will have to develop both the back end and front end for this. So this is going to be a new workflow and a full stack development project, I think. Moving on, customize difficulty for practice sessions. Uh, in this one, this is also a full stack project and also a new workflow. So right now, the way the practice sessions are set up, the difficulty is not customizable. I think there is a what there's a sub topic. Yeah, they call it a subtopic, and the difficulty uh, cannot be chosen at subtopic level, and they want you to implement this functionality where children or whoever is learning can choose a difficulty at subtopic, and all of these difficulties then get rolled up to your overall score, and you the overall difficulty of the project. So this is again another new workflow. This will become with its own mocks, I think, and and a new backend as well. So a full stack new project for you. And that was all uh, about that team. Now towards contributor experience team. This is towards people who are, I think, contributing to Opia, and they have this dashboard mobile UI that they want you to make. So this one is a standard cross-platform project where something is working on desktop, and they now wanted a mobile experience for it. And this will again be a front-end project. Angular, TypeScript, HTML, CSS. Yeah, this looks completely front-end and cross-platform. So if you are interested in developing on mobile web, I think this means mobile web. This project would be of interest to you. Moving on to Android. Yeah, now the Android team. So this is all related to Android. And if you had Android working experience, only then should you attempt these projects. So developer options like any standard debugging options. They want a sophisticated options menu in which through their app they could develop through in their Android app. They want to debug various scenarios where app crashes, app is slow, or people are executing a certain series of steps, and all of this can be very time consuming to set up. So having developer options is really helpful in that way. And yeah, so this is all going to be Android. Yeah, very huge milestones and everything is very detailed. Another one in Android is static analysis checks and improvement. This means that they want code quality improvement here. The static analysis checks always check for a certain way to write code so that there are no bugs introduced in code. And by improvements, I think they mean they already have some checks, but they want more stricter checks, and they want checks where they do not have them. So this is going to be like a linting project again, but for Android, I think. Improve code coverage and CI support. Okay, code coverage is again, they do have a lot of tests. They want you to write more tests, and this time it's going to be Android testing. And like the one we saw up front, where they had given a table with explicit lines of code and coverage that they have achieved. The Android team hasn't given that, but you can expect writing a lot of tests here. And if you complete the code coverage, then they want you to work on continuous integration support. So there will be end-to-end tests, there will be integration tests, I think, in this one. So a lot of unit test, code coverage, keeping the code coverage high, and continuous integration project is this one. Yeah, and there is separate end-to-end testing support. So I think a lot of integration testing they need, they have separated out this project. So integration and test framework related. So they want you to work on the test framework itself and then improve the integration testing as well. So if you've worked with integration testing in Android, this might be an interesting project to you. UI Automator and stuff like that for Android. Implementing feature flags and platform parameters. Okay, so they want in this project to implement feature flags, which means that they want to launch specific features behind specific flags. So if I say feature one equal to true, only then should that feature be available on my app or my desktop experience. Oh, this is only Android, so only on Android. And so that is the meaning of feature flags. And platform parameters means they want a platform to do certain things. uh, I don't know, like be a certain resolution or act in a certain way when those parameters are passed. So this is again another DevOps kind of project for you on Android. That's what I think, though. Implement lightweight checkpointing. Okay, so this one means uh, right now people they go through their learning material, but it might be an hour long, and they lose track of where they are right now. And this checkpointing will help our customers know where they left off, and then resume from that point. So yeah, more details again here. Introduce support for displaying copyright licenses in the app. So yeah, the app uses a lot many libraries and dependencies and stuff like that. So they want support for displaying copyright licenses because it's the right thing to do. But yeah, this might be challenging, and like they have mentioned here, that they will simplify and work with you in this project proposal uh, to make sure that you are successful, so they don't set you up for failure. This can be really challenging project. And the last one I think is Opia bot team. They want to make an Opia bot better. I think there is a bot which helps automate the process of contributing to Opia, and there is a bot who does that, and they it's already in production, and they want you to improve it through. I think it says available features here, but I don't know what kind of things they are looking for in this one. So probably you might have to reach to them here. But yeah, if you're interested in an Android bot, I think this might be the project of interest for you. All right, with that, we come to the end, and there's some dates. I think these are standard dates with GSOC, and a list of mentors. I think the mentors are mentioned on each project, and I think they will consolidate and put it here down here sometime. And for communication, again, they say go through the email list and the announce and stuff like that. So, yep, this is our Opia bot review. We'll do another one tomorrow as well. Thanks.